Art Attack. Welcome to Art Attack, the big art show with low-flying aircraft. Now I have an intriguing question for you. Which do you think is faster, this aeroplane or this clown? Don't worry, I haven't gone mad. Come and have a look at this. Take a piece of stiff card, cereal box card or shoebox card is perfect for this. Cut it into a square, and now for some precision engineering. Mark a point halfway along the top of your square and halfway along the bottom of your square, and then simply join those 2 points up with a line right down the middle of your square. Then measure a point 1/3 of the way up that line and make a mark, and join that mark to the 2 bottom corners. So that's a point 1/3 of the way up that middle line and join it to the 2 bottom corners. And now I want to cut out the whole of that wedge. So if you cut that out, you end up with a shape that looks something like that. Looks a bit like a tooth, doesn't it? Then draw a picture using that line as the middle of your picture. And the idea is to draw a picture that's perfectly symmetrical about that line. In other words, equal on either side of the line. And you can draw anything you want. You'll probably work out that I'm about to draw a clown. And the idea is to fill as much of your paper as you possibly can. It doesn't have to be a brilliant drawing. You'll see why in a minute. It's an effect that we're after. But it does have to be as symmetrical around that line as you can possibly get it. So I'm just being very careful here to make it equal. I won't put all the detail in at the moment. We'll add that in a minute. And you'll see I'm using pen to do this drawing, just to show you. It's probably best if you use pencil, because then you can colour it in with poster paint or felt tip pens. And if you colour it in and cut it out, you will end up with something that looks like that. Then take a couple of pinches of blue tack and just stick them in the bottom 2 corners. There's one there, and there's one in there, a little bit fiddly. And then put 2 1-penny pieces onto the blue tack. Now you can use 2 penny pieces if your clown or whatever it is that you've made is bigger than mine. And then 2 on the other side like that. There it is, in the bottom corners. And then you will notice that your clown will balance on a knife edge. Look at that. How's that for a result? In fact, your clown will even move. See if I can just show you that. Look at that. Slides down there. So, why don't you make your clown a string tightrope? A tightrope walking clown. Or even a low-flying fighter aircraft. And what about a spider on a thread? You could even make 2 and race them. Try it yourself. Tightrope walking clowns.
Those are great. Hello, it's the head here. Remember, they're all based on this shape. Draw your design on it, then stick the pennies on to get the balance right. I've done one. Okay, let it go. Not the string, stupid. that is great. So atmospheric. Hey, have I ever shown you my gangster impression? You dirty mouse.
You ever seen those medieval manuscripts where they apply gold leaf to those very elegant capital letters? Well, look what I've discovered. Silver leaf. It looks great, and unlike gold leaf, it is not expensive, because all it is this stuff, kitchen foil. Now, if you make a letter, just draw it in a ballpoint pen onto the foil and cut it out and stick some glue onto the back of it. Now, you'll see I'm being very careful with it here because it can tear very easy. Put the glue on the back of your letter, put it into position on, say, a poster or a school book or whatever you want. Lay a piece of paper on top, press it down, and again, I'm using the paper so I won't spoil the silver leaf. And if you take a black felt tip pen and just go round the edge, you give it a very professional finish. And there it is, a very professional manuscript letter out of silver leaf. And I've also discovered that you can draw onto kitchen foil if you use a permanent marker. Now again, I'll just very carefully lift this into position. More fingers and thumbs with this stuff. And if you draw using a permanent marker so that it won't come off, just do a very simple picture, holding it down as you're doing it and trying not to crease it. There you go, very simple picture there. And then if you just put your picture to one side and let it dry, you can also colour it in. Now, this is one I've almost finished. But when you're going to colour it in, again, you've got to use permanent marker and keep your marker going. Do it quite fast because the ink tends to dry very quickly and you'll find you'll be rubbing your work out as opposed to putting ink on. There it is. A couple of more colours on this, I think. On there. And then I'll finish off with the yellow. And you can see how delicate this silver leaf is. In fact, it's just like the real gold leaf. There it is. And when you've finished your picture, if you make a card and back it onto the card, I think you have a very professional silver leaf greeting card. In fact, you can make a greeting card for all occasions. Try it yourself. Kitchen foil, silver leaf.
Whee! That is lovely, and it's only kitchen foil. Be careful with any cutting and make sure you use permanent markers. But it's brilliant, and you can make things for any occasion whatsoever. Just have a look at this. Happy sandwiches!
My name is Stephen and I've painted this reflection picture. My name's Jonathan. I made this picture by wetting the page and painting on the background. My name is Sarah. I painted this picture of a sunset, folded it over, unfolded it, and it came out with this effect.
Ah, now that's a good art attack from Aylesford Primary School. Paint a scene onto some wet paper, fold it over to create a reflection in water. Well, I'm going to try something a little bit different this time. I'm going to use dry paper to start with, and you just fold your paper in half and paint your scene on the top half of the paper using the fold as the bottom of your picture. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint a very simple mountain scene. And what's on the top of every mountain? Snow. So I'm just going to slosh some white paint on there. And I think the idea with this technique is to keep your paint nice and thick so that it doesn't dry too quickly. There it is, just the tops of the mountains. And some mountains in the distance. Remember the old tip, colour fades when it gets into the distance, so I won't do those mountains as brightly coloured. There's the snow. Now for the mountains themselves, well, let's drag a bit of grey in here through the snow. There it is. So that's the dark side of the mountain. Just come around here, make it a little bit lighter where the sun is shining. And those mountains in the distance, again, just slightly lighter. A little less colour in them. Just bring it down there. And now on the lake side, or the river side, whatever the water's going to be, I'm going to try a technique that I really enjoy. This is called stippling. And it's one of those techniques that actually does the work for you. If you get a stiff brush and you just stab it at the paper, what it does is it creates your bushes or your trees for you. A little bit darker, a little bit smaller, by the lakeside, in the distance. And on the other side, I'm going to put some bigger trees. Again, use the stippling technique, just building up to bigger trees and brighter greens here in the foreground. Just a bit more green in. This is a great technique, this. It's also good fun to do. There it is. And just to finish it off, I'm just going to do the silhouette of a couple of trees just down the bottom there. And now, the good bit. Take some water and literally slosh it onto the bottom half of your folded paper. Just covering the whole of the bottom half with water. And this is where it's different from Aylesford School's technique. They covered the whole of the paper, I'm just doing half. There it is. And then fold your picture over, press it into the water, and there you have a water reflection picture. Try it yourself, a wet paper water reflection, and I'll see you next time. Ta-ra!